this slush fund is really kind of like the Slough of Despond from Pilgrim's Progress, if you remember that. And this is really kind of the pit for these congressmen and senators. And they're feeling the despond right now. Well, I'm going to come around. If you remember Pilgrim's Progress, he got out of that Slough of Despond by someone called help. I've got a very simple solution for them. You could do this with a one-sentence bill. You could fix this if they had the will. The question is, are they going to sit around in despair and despond and do nothing? Like I said at the top of the show, I can give them one sentence to fix this. Trump is out there saying, I could have settled my case. I could have settled it for an absolute fortune. Instead, I'm helping others who are so badly abused. You see, he's making this about the little guy. You think he cares about the little guy when he left them twisting in the wind to be persecuted for 4 years? Many of them in jail under horrific circumstances for that amount of time. And a lot of people who did nothing violent getting caught up in this. Then Trump does, after 4 or 5 years of the suffering from these people, he finally does a pardon for them and pats himself on the back. Well, here's how you fix this. Again, instead of Pilgrim's Progress and the Slough of Despond, we have the MAGA Congress, not Pilgrim's Progress. And we've got the Slush fund instead of the Slough of Despond. We have the Slush of Despond, causing these politicians to despond of their evaporating political career. I should say not evaporating, but sinking into the swamp. As a matter of fact, it's very much an appropriate metaphor. That's what Pilgrim's Progress always was about. And so what we see here is the GOP sinking in the swamp under the burden of their sins of abdication in the face of tyranny and war by executive order. Yeah, because in the original Pilgrim's Progress, he's on his journey. He gets into the swamp, and he is sinking in the swamp under the burden of his sins. And this is these people are sinking under the burden of carrying Trump on their back, no matter what sins he commits. That is what we're really looking at. And everybody sees this. Look at this headline from Rolling Stone. Not headline, but the cover of Rolling Stone. The most corrupt president ever. Ever. How about that? I said this long before Rolling Stone ever put that up there. And it absolutely is true. I believe that. Everybody is saying it now. The fund is rife with legal and ethical questions, say legal experts. Of course, Ted Cruz doesn't even talk about the ethics involved in this. And as a Harvard Review law school graduate, he doesn't see any legal issues with this either. Again, he is blinded with all the slop that's in his eyes from the swamp. Trump and the DOJ of his is pushed to voluntarily dismiss a lawsuit from the president seeking $10 billion of the leaking of his tax returns. Again, that was what it was about. It was about that and the fact that they raided Mar-a-Lago. Guess what? They didn't go into Mar-a-Lago throwing flash grenades like they do to people in the inner city over the drug war nonsense, and many times the wrong house. It wasn't a no-knock raid, but how dare them show up at his palace and actually walk in and look at his stuff? Oh, I want $10 billion for that. He wanted $10 billion for that and for the tax return stuff. And the tax returns, as I pointed out last week, it was a contractor who was working for the IRS. He wanted to expose the fact that there were so many wealthy people, some of the wealthiest people, people like Donald Trump and Michael Bloomberg and George Soros, even these people on the left like that, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. Look, these people don't pay taxes. They pay very little in taxes if they pay at all. As a matter of fact, George Soros had not paid taxes in 3 years. 0 taxes he paid. And so this guy wanted to expose them. And that's what Trump was fundamentally suing over. And it was not targeted towards him. No other billionaire or rich person that was exposed in any of that, embarrassed, and assuming that they get embarrassed. Trump was not embarrassed when people said, you don't pay taxes. And he said, well, I think that's smart. I hire people and pay them a lot of money to make sure that I don't pay taxes. Remember that? He said that publicly in a debate. So if his position is that he doesn't pay taxes because he's smarter than you, he doesn't pay taxes because he's richer than you, then why would he sue the contractor sue the IRS because they had a contractor who stole the data and published it showing that he doesn't pay taxes? Doesn't that just prove how smart Trump is? No, what proves how smart Trump is that he can put this on as if this is going back to J6, making it all about them versus us, this kind of Civil War tribalism, the kind of tribalism that they want to feed to get us into a civil war. That's his really smart thing that he's doing. The corrupt thing that he's doing is to give this money to himself and to pull in his personal lawyer, Todd Blanche. This guy is no better than his Cohen lawyer that was working for him a long time. So again, the next day, Todd Blanche signed a memo blocking the IRS from taking any action against Trump with regard to his past tax returns. He's now audit-proof. It comes after years of scrutiny around whether the president dodged tax payments up to, listen to this, $100 million in IRS back payments. That's what this slush fund is about. It's about Donald Trump and the IRS. Don't make it about J6. It's not about that. And it's not weaponization of government for a billionaire to have to pay taxes. Oh, how dare you come after me for taxes, right? All these other billionaires don't pay taxes. I shouldn't have to pay taxes either. The incredibly collusive nature of the settlement makes it problematic and should be of concern to every American, said one person who was reviewing the documents and a former director of the torts branch of the Department of Justice's Civil Division, reviewing that. Again, this is the person who handled lawsuits for the Department of Justice. He is the party that is requesting the settlement. He is also the party that is making the offer and compromise. That is unprecedented. That's exactly what Judge Napolitano said last week. He said you can't be both plaintiff and defendant. That doesn't make any sense. This guy says that's unheard of. And it raises all sorts of concerns about whether or not this is a sham litigation that was filed purely for the purposes of skimming money. Bingo. That's exactly what it is. And so here's the very simple fix, if the Congress would do it. You might want to cut this out and send it to your congressman. It takes one line, and it simply says that a sitting president cannot sue the government. End of story. And think about how easy this would be for people to understand and to get behind, because we have a situation where, and Trump has pointed this out, well, you got to remove me from office before you can come after me for crimes, right? That's what the whole impeachment process is about. Congress impeaches the president if they think a crime has been committed and that is actionable, right? High crimes and misdemeanors. So they impeach him. That's an indictment. Then there is a trial in the Senate. And if the Senate agrees and finds him guilty, then he is removed from office. Then and only then can somebody come after him for a crime. In other words, if he wanted to, as he's given the illustration, if he wanted to go down Fifth Avenue and get out of his Secret Service limousine and take one of the Secret Service pistols and shoot somebody in the head on Fifth Avenue, well, he could do that as president. The rightful response would, they can't try him for murder as a president, right? Presidents murder people all the time. They get really good at it, right? And so they couldn't try him for murder, but what they could do is they could impeach him. They could try him in the Senate. If they found him guilty, they could remove him from office. Then they could go after him for murder. That's the way this works. So if he's got a lawsuit, this is the way it ought to work. If something is done by the government against you as president, you cannot, as president, sue. You wait until you are out of office, until you are a private party, until you are not the one running the government, until you're not the one that the Department of Justice answers to. The people are going to be fighting the lawsuit, making compromises. You wait until after that is all over. Then you can sue the government and try to make your case. And by the way, he doesn't have a case. He doesn't have a case any more than he has a case against the Wall Street Journal and the BBC for $10 billion each.
That's why he doesn't want to wait.
Yeah, that's right. So again, maybe we should make this case. Trump, you should pass the law saying that a sitting president cannot sue the government, but say, because you think that you've got a case for $10 billion, President Trump, you should resign so that you can sue the government and win your case. And that'd be one way to get him to go. Just dangle a bunch of money out there like a donkey with a carrot on a stick in front of him. Any effort to halt this can and should come from Congress, which can definitively and easily do this. That's right. Just one sentence. Nobody is saying this. What does it take? I mean, is that rocket science to say you just put in a one-sentence bill and say, no president can sue the government while he is president? End of story. It's just that simple. It'd be very easy, I think, to sell that, to get people to understand it. Legal issues over the settlement were raised before it was announced, with a judge overseeing the matter questioning Trump and the Justice Department over whether they were truly adversaries, which is a requirement for bringing cases to court. And this is what Judge Napolitano pointed out. This is a lawsuit that was brought by Trump against his own government. So don't allow that to happen. That's what you put in. That ends Trump from doing this. It ends anybody else from doing it. This is a very easy one to fix. So it is a sham lawsuit, and it has the appearance that, said one person, I don't really have a readily available precedent because people don't do things like this. People don't sue themselves. Because if you sued yourself, you would have to pay yourself if you lost, except as president, he can get you to pay him when he loses or wins. Which one is it? I don't know if he won or lost. He's both plaintiff and defendant. So yeah. Did he win or lose? Yes. So Trump on Friday defended it. However, he's doubling down. He says he gave up a lot of money in a case that he speculated he would have won a fortune. So tell him, okay, we're going to pass this law. Now you can resign and you can collect your fortune because it's a slam dunk according to you, right? He said, instead, I am helping others. He is so selfless, isn't he? I mean, I've never seen a more selfless billionaire. Yeah. Legal issues over the settlement were raised long before it was brought up, as many people pointed out. Well, I think the case that Trump filed was very, very weak and unlikely to prevail, said one of the people who was formerly with the Department of Justice's tort division. And so, again, he is just like Eric. They throw out these frivolous lawsuits for massive amounts of money to intimidate people. And of course, they have massive amounts of money they can hire lawyers to intimidate you with as well. The common man. They created Common Core to dumb down our children. They created Common Pass to track and control us. Their Commons Project to make sure the commoners own nothing. And the communist future. They see the common man as simple, unsophisticated, ordinary. But each of us has worth and dignity created in the image of God. That is what we have in common. That is what they want to take away. Their most powerful weapons are isolation, deception, intimidation. They desire to know everything about us while they hide everything from us. It's time to turn that around and expose what they want to hide. Please share the information and links you'll find at davidknightshow.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. If you can't support us financially, please keep us in your prayers. davidknightshow.com.